What I'm going to talk to you about today is what I quite boldly and unapologetically call the future solution, or evolved interdisciplinary palliative care. In 2022, I made the shift to work independently, and part of this was because I had done my work in one organization, and I felt constrained. I felt that I wanted to be influencing at a much wider scale. And so this role enables me to do a lot of teaching, a lot of lecturing, a lot of speaking internationally. And I also provide consultancy and coaching for people that are looking to implement a rehabilitative palliative care approach. And sometimes this can be a challenging space when you are pushing up against a culture that may be lagging behind where you feel it needs to get to. I'm going to talk about my work as chair of the AIIPC Rehab Task Force a bit later in this presentation. So it just is to give you a context that I have worked at lots of different levels, from direct clinical patient care as a physiotherapist through to senior leadership and international consultancy. So I get it. I get what the challenges are. And what I'd like to do today is really set the scene and position rehabilitative palliative care big picture. And from there, focus in. So to begin with, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to get you to put your hand up. So, would you say that where you work currently, you provide multidisciplinary palliative care? Hands up. Hands up high. Fantastic. And if I ask, do you provide interdisciplinary palliative care? Hands up. Okay, hands a bit lower, a bit mixed. If you're feeling a bit confused and you're thinking, not really sure what the difference is between multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary palliative care and whether we're actually doing it, you are not alone. These terms are used interchangeably in palliative care, which is a challenge for us because they are not the same. And the problem is that many people already think they are doing interdisciplinary palliative care. They're already there. We know within palliative care, not everybody that we support is going to be older. Yes, this is the trend for the future, but rehabilitative palliative care is the integrated approach for everyone, irrespective of age. And this is where we need to be working, all of us. So by rehabilitative palliative care, this is holistic palliative care that is integrated and underpinned by principles of rehabilitation. This brings together the best around optimizing patients' and families' control and independence, enabling people to live as fully as possible until they die, and supporting people to die as well as possible and supporting families into bereavement. So rehabilitative palliative care is an interdisciplinary approach in which all members of the team are supporting people to work towards their personal goals and priorities. It's about optimizing function and well-being to enable people to live as fully and independently as possible with choice and autonomy within the limitations of their advancing illness. So it's not a promise of false hope. It's about being as good as you can be. And importantly, it empowers people to adapt to their new state of being with dignity, and provides an active coping support system for anticipating those changes that do come with advancing illness and deteriorating health. Importantly, in the language that I use to describe rehabilitation and palliative care, there's two unique focuses. One is what I would call specialist palliative rehabilitation, and this is provided by your rehab experts. So these are your physios, OTs, dietitians, speech and language therapists that bring that rehab expertise into the context of palliative care. But rehabilitative palliative care, what I'm talking about, is what everybody should be doing. It is all members of the team. This is palliative care of the future. Now, these are references that you can refer to if you'd like to know more. What I'd like to do now is share with you some of the work from the task force that I lead for the European Association of Palliative Care. We started from this place. Where are we now in the context of rehabilitation and palliative care? What does it look like across Europe and across the world? And what we found is that it's evolving. It's different in different places. That we have a growing body of research to support its effectiveness. That there's this conundrum between what we're talking about, rehabilitation professionals versus interdisciplinary rehabilitative palliative care. Some countries, it's recognised as best practice at a policy level. And go you guys, you've got it in there. So this is a really big achievement. This gives you a driver at a national level that rehabilitative palliative care is really important. Not all countries have that. And the question is, even if you've got it in your policy, how well is it actually being implemented? And not just implemented in a few centres that are really leading the way, but across the whole as best practice. So it's a mixed picture. This is where palliative rehabilitation at its best is around the transformation of the dying into the living and the restoration of a patient to a person. That is your shared purpose. We're living every day and we only die once. We've got one chance to support these people and to enable them to live those days to their fullest for what matters most for them. Thank you. And I love strategy and looking at things from a strategic point of view. What I would say is for leadership roles in palliative care, and I would say outside palliative care as well, we should be considering what the core competencies and experience and skills needed for that role is, rather than what profession we need in that role. I would say clinical leadership roles should be opened up and appointed based on those criteria. Because if we are working in an interdisciplinary way and we have a very good understanding of each other's roles, then it doesn't mean that a nurse needs to be managed by a nurse. We certainly see for most allied health professionals, they are not managed by professions of the same discipline. And it works, it can work. I have managed community nursing teams. It helps, it gives me a fresh perspective. I ask more questions and I make sure that they have access to specialist nursing expertise through their clinical supervision, through other aspects. So I think one of the radical shifts, it shouldn't be radical, but it feels radical, is let's be brave and open up our leadership roles and get the right person for the task in that position.